There is a 32-year-old marketing manager in Denver making $78,000 a year. She has a used Honda Civic, a studio apartment she splits expenses on with her partner, and a budgeting app on her phone that she opens every Sunday night. She followed the 50-30-20 rule to the letter: 50% to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings. She read the book. She watched the videos. She believed the system would work. It did not work. Her rent alone consumes 38% of her take-home pay. Add utilities, car insurance, groceries, and her student loan minimum, and she is at 67% before she buys a single coffee. The 50-30-20 rule told her she was failing. The numbers told her she was doing everything right and still drowning. According to Bankrate's 2025 Emergency Savings Report, 24% of Americans have zero emergency savings. The Federal Reserve's 2024 survey of household economics found that 30% of adults could not cover 3 months of expenses by any means. And a Goldman Sachs retirement survey found that 40% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck with no spare savings at all, up from 31% in 1997. Goldman projects that number will hit 55% by 2033. The budgeting framework that an entire generation was taught as gospel is mathematically broken in the current economy. And the longer you cling to it, the further behind you fall. Today, I am going to show you exactly why the 50-30-20 rule no longer reflects economic reality in 2026. And I am going to give you the framework that actually works. The one built around how money behaves now, not how it behaved in 2005. My name is Zuri, and I spend way too much time buried in Federal Reserve data, Bureau of Labor Statistics reports, and the financial behavior research that most people never see. So you don't have to. The 50-30-20 rule was popularized by Senator Elizabeth Warren and her daughter Amelia Warren Tyagi in their 2005 book, All Your Worth. The idea was elegant. Split your after-tax income into 3 buckets: needs, wants, and savings. It gave millions of Americans a simple framework when they had none. And in 2005, when the median rent in the United States was roughly $700 a month and the average household income was around $46,000, the math actually held together. It does not hold together anymore. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's 2024 American Community Survey, more than 50% of renter households in America, 23.2 million of them, are now spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs alone. The median gross rent climbed to $1,487 per month in 2024. In states like Florida, 60% of renters pay more than 30% of their income on rent and utilities. In California, it is 55%. In Nevada, 57%. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition reports that nearly half of all renter households are cost-burdened, and among extremely low-income renters, 87% face cost burden. The Census Bureau found the median homeowner with a mortgage now spends 21.4% of income on housing costs alone, and that is before groceries, transportation, insurance, or childcare. Think about that for a moment. If housing alone is eating 35 to 40% of take-home pay for millions of families, the 50% needs ceiling is shattered before you account for a single utility bill. PNC Bank's 2025 Financial Wellness in the Workplace report found that 67% of full-time workers say they are living paycheck to paycheck, up from 63% in 2024. Bank of America Institute data shows 24% of households spend over 95% of their income on necessities. For lower-income households, that number is 29% and climbing. Consumer prices have risen 24.6% since August 2020. Wages have not kept pace. The Bureau of Economic Analysis reports the personal savings rate for 2025 at just 4.9%, a fraction of the 20% the rule demands. And the framework that was supposed to create financial clarity is now creating financial shame. People believe they are failures because they cannot fit their reality into a formula designed for a different economy. The difference between people who build wealth in 2026 and people who stay stuck is not discipline or willpower. It is the system they use. Here is the system that actually works. The first shift is philosophical, and it changes everything. The 50-30-20 rule starts with percentages and then tries to force your life into them. The replacement framework starts with your life and builds the budget around it. Ramsey Solutions calls the non-negotiable expenses the four walls: food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. These are the bills that keep you alive and employed. You fund these first, not at 50%, not at any fixed percentage, at whatever they actually cost. For a family in Austin, Texas earning $85,000 a year, the four walls might consume 58% of take-home income. For a single professional in Indianapolis making the same salary, it might be 41%. The 50-30-20 rule treats both of these situations identically, which is precisely why it fails. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey, the average American household spent $77,280 in 2023, with housing accounting for 33.3% of total spending. Transportation was 16.8%. Food was 12.9%. Those three categories alone represent 63% of average household expenditure, blowing past the 50% ceiling before healthcare, insurance, or childcare even enters the picture. Your first job in 2026 is not to hit a number someone wrote in a book 20 years ago. Your first job is to know, to the dollar, what your four walls cost. Every household is different. Every city is different. Every stage of life is different. The budget must reflect that. Here is the paradox nobody talks about. For households struggling with inflated necessities, saving 20% feels impossible. For households earning six figures with controlled expenses, 20% is dramatically insufficient to build real wealth. The rule fails on both ends of the income spectrum. Consider two 30-year-old professionals. Person A earns $55,000, lives in Tampa, and after taxes brings home roughly $3,600 per month. Her rent is $1,500. Car payment, insurance, groceries, utilities, student loan minimum, and health insurance bring her fixed costs to $3,100. The 50-30-20 rule says she should save $720 per month. She has $500 left. The math does not work. She is not undisciplined. She is underpaid relative to her cost of living. Person B earns $130,000, lives in the same city, brings home roughly $7,800 per month. His fixed costs total $4,200. He saves $1,560 per month, the prescribed 20%, and feels responsible. But if person B invested $1,560 monthly at a 10% average annual return starting at age 30, he would have approximately $1.13 million by age 55. That sounds impressive, until you realize that Fidelity's retirement guidelines suggest having 10 times your annual salary saved by age 67. For a $130,000 earner, that is $1.3 million. At 20%, person B barely hits the minimum, and that is assuming zero interruptions in savings for 25 straight years. The replacement framework does not prescribe a fixed percentage for savings. It prescribes a fixed order of operations: fund the four walls, eliminate high-interest debt, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, then invest 15 to 25% of gross income, depending on your age and start date. The Ramsey Solutions survey of over 10,000 millionaires found that 79% of them are self-made. 31% never earned a six-figure salary in any single year. The median time to reach millionaire status was 28 years. They did not get there by following a one-size-fits-all percentage. They got there by consistently investing whatever they could, as early as they could, and increasing the amount over time. The 30% wants allocation is arguably the most dangerous component of the rule, not because spending on enjoyment is wrong, because the category itself is a mirage. In 2026, the line between needs and wants is blurred beyond recognition. Is a reliable internet connection a want or a need when your job is remote? Is a $15 per month phone plan a want when it enables two-factor authentication for your banking app? Is a gym membership a want when your doctor told you to exercise or face medication? The binary framework forces people into guilt-driven classifications that do not reflect modern life. More critically, the 30% allocation creates a permission structure for lifestyle inflation that quietly destroys wealth. A household earning $90,000 after tax with a 30% wants budget has $2,250 per month designated for discretionary spending. That is $27,000 a year. If that same household redirected just $500 of that monthly wants budget into an index fund averaging 10% annual returns, they would accumulate an additional $1.13 million over 30 years. Read that again. A single reallocation of $500 per month from wants to investments produces over $1 million across a career. Tom Corley's 5-year study of self-made millionaires found that 67% of them watch less than 1 hour of television per day. 88% read at least 30 minutes daily for education or career advancement. The Millionaire Next Door research consistently shows that the typical millionaire drives a car that is 3 years old or older and lives in a home valued well below what they could afford. They do not allocate 30% to wants. They question every dollar that leaves their account and ask whether it moves them closer to or further from financial independence. The system that actually works in 2026 is zero-based budgeting. Every dollar you earn gets a specific assignment before the month begins. Income minus outgo equals zero. Not because you spend everything, but because every dollar has a name: rent, groceries, car insurance, electric bill, Roth IRA contribution, emergency fund deposit, debt payment, date night. According to Ramsey Solutions' State of Personal Finance Q4 2025 report, 51% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Among those who consistently use a written budget, the percentage drops significantly. The act of assigning every dollar a purpose eliminates the drift that destroys most household budgets. A Schwab Modern Wealth survey found that only 33% of Americans maintain a detailed budget. Yet those who do report feeling significantly more confident and in control of their finances. Here is how it works in practice. A household with $6,000 in monthly take-home pay sits down before March begins. They assign $1,650 to rent, $450 to groceries, $350 to car payment and insurance, $200 to utilities, $180 to minimum debt payments, $200 to student loans above the minimum, $600 to a Roth IRA, $500 to an emergency fund, $150 to subscriptions and entertainment, $120 to dining out, $200 to clothing and household, and $400 to miscellaneous. Every dollar accounted for. The total equals $6,000. Zero left unassigned. The power of this system is not rigidity. It is intentionality. If groceries cost more than expected in March, you pull from clothing or dining out. If your car needs a $400 repair, you pull from miscellaneous and entertainment. The budget flexes. The percentages do not matter. The assignment matters. Behavioral finance research has consistently demonstrated, yet the single most reliable predictor of long-term saving success is automation. Not willpower, not income level, automation. Vanguard's How America Saves 2025 report found that plans with automatic enrollment had participation rates above 93%, compared to roughly 28% for plans requiring active opt-in. The difference between building wealth and not building wealth often comes down to whether the money moves before you see it. The replacement framework prioritizes automating three things on the first or second day after every paycheck: your employer retirement contribution up to any company match, your emergency fund deposit into a high yield savings account, and your additional investment contribution into a Roth IRA or taxable brokerage account. Fidelity's 2024 retirement analysis found that the average 401k balance for consistent savers who had been contributing for at least 15 years was $506,000. For those contributing for 10 years, it was $306,000. For 5 years, $67,000. The compounding curve is not linear, it is exponential. Every year you delay costs you disproportionately more than the last. A 25-year-old who invests $400 per month at a 10% average annual return will have approximately $2.12 million by age 65. A 35-year-old investing the same $400 per month at the same return will have approximately $789,000. Same dollar amount, same rate of return. 10 years of delay costs $1.33 million. The math is not complicated. The behavior is. A 24-year-old with $38,000 in student loans starting her first job at $48,000 is not in the same financial universe as a 42-year-old couple earning $160,000 with 2 kids, a mortgage, and aging parents. The 50-30-20 rule treats them identically. A functional framework does not. In your 20s, with debt, the priority order is build a $1,000 starter emergency fund. Attack high-interest debt with every available dollar using the avalanche or snowball method. Then build the full 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Then begin investing 15% of gross income. In your 30s and 40s with a mortgage, the priority shifts. Maintain the emergency fund. Invest 15 to 20% of gross income, and begin aggressively paying down the mortgage. The Empower 2024 Personal Wealth Dashboard found that the average American's net worth varies dramatically by age. Approximately $76,000 at 25 to 34, $436,000 at 45 to 54, and $1.2 million at 65 to 74. The people who reach the higher end of those ranges are not following a one-size-fits-all formula. They are executing a plan calibrated to their specific decade of life. Cerulli Associates reports that 57% of investors who work with a financial plan feel confident about their retirement, compared to just 18% of those without one. A plan is not a percentage. A plan is a sequence of decisions adjusted every year based on where you actually are. Remember the marketing manager in Denver? The one earning $78,000, following the 50-30-20 rule to the letter, and still sinking. She is not a cautionary tale about laziness. She is a cautionary tale about using the wrong map. The economy moved, the formula did not. Here is what separates the two versions of your financial future. In one version, you keep trying to force your life into a framework that was designed for a cheaper, slower, simpler economy. You feel perpetual guilt because your needs exceed 50%. You keep 30% flowing to wants because the rule says you can. You save 20% when you can and nothing when you cannot. In 5 years, you have an emergency fund that covers maybe 2 months of expenses, a retirement account that is behind where it should be, and the quiet, low-grade anxiety that follows you to bed every night. The feeling that you are doing everything right and still losing. In the other version, you throw out the formula, you sit down with your actual numbers, you fund your 4 walls first, you attack your debt with a plan, you automate your investments before you ever see the money. You stop asking what percentage is correct and start asking what your money needs to do this month, in this season of your life, to get you where you want to go. In 5 years, your emergency fund is fully funded. Your retirement contributions are compounding. Your debt is gone or nearly gone, and you sleep differently. Not because you are rich, because you are in control. The Ramsey Solutions Millionaire study found something that stuck with me. The top 5 careers of millionaires were engineer, accountant, teacher, manager, and attorney. Not entrepreneurs, not tech founders, not anyone you have ever seen on a magazine cover. Ordinary people with ordinary incomes who made extraordinary decisions about where their money went. The 50-30-20 rule gave a generation permission to think about money differently. That was its gift, but its gift has expired. The economy of 2026 requires a budget that bends, a plan that adapts, and the honesty to look at your own numbers instead of someone else's percentages. The formula will not save you. Your decisions will. Every single month is a fresh budget. Every single dollar is a choice. Start now.